Bridges have always connected places. They are practical, but let's be honest, they are a bit too boring. Straight roads, sturdy designs, and safety precautions keep things far too predictable. And where's the fun in predictability? Sure, suspension bridges add a touch of creativity with all those cables hanging around them, but at the end of the day, they are still just normal bridges. What if we reimagined them, not just as functional structures, but as thrilling experiences? Introducing the Improved Suspension Bridge, a game-changing design that promises thrill rides, airborne driving, and a completely new approach to transportation. The catch? You just have to make it to the other side, but don't worry, it's not that tough. We have a foolproof, or at least mostly foolproof, plan in place. Of course, we are still working on minor details like gravity, structural integrity, and sheer terror, but they are just a part of the experience, right? Anyway, let's just begin with the master plan. Phase 1 would be concept development. Now, we are clear on the adventure part, but we need a proper design. We can't just start building a bridge out of our blurry vision. We need a concrete plan and a list of things we want in the design. The key features should definitely include dips and jumps for airborne driving. Strategically placed dips and ramps will allow cars to momentarily take flight, adding the element of surprise to an otherwise boring journey. Steeper inclines to increase the thrill factor, flexible cables that allow controlled swaying, and some optional safety mechanisms. Now to the structural engineering part. Since we will be violating every known bridge safety principle, the foundation needs to be rock solid for the improvised suspension bridges to work. This isn't just any bridge, it's an extreme test of physics, endurance, and courage. Maybe. So it needs to be built like that. To start, steel-reinforced concrete pipes will be extended deep into the seabed to hold the bridge in place. Instead of traditional straight towers, we were thinking of giving them a slight inward tilt, just to make the engineers sweat. To handle all the nonsense happening on the deck, we will also need carbon fiber reinforced steel. So now that the foundation is laid, let's move on to the roadway. The road won't be one predictable flat surface, that's just not our style. So we would add steep drops and slide ramps. For this, we will need materials that won't snap when things go out of hand, so titanium alloys with reinforced polymer composites will do. Titanium alloys provide the perfect balance of strength and flexibility, allowing the road surface to absorb intense forces without cracking. The reinforced polymer composites will add an extra layer of durability, ensuring that the bridge can withstand years of reckless driving, gravity-defying stunts, and occasional high-impact landings. For those of you who might think that this is all just fun and games, there are no actual advantages to this bridge. You are just wrong and uncool. The bridge does have functional advantages. First, it would require fewer cables. The support system will be mainly through towers, so we wouldn't need as much cable support, and that would save lots of money. That money can then be reinvested to solidify the ramps and install shock-absorbing systems to dampen extreme vibrations from the vehicles when they land after they take flight. See? Practical and genius. Second, it will give more clearance space for boats and ships. The deep dips on the road deck naturally create a high midspan where ships can easily pass. Traditional bridges rely on flat decks with limit clearance, but since we are so considerate of everyone on the planet, our design allows the main span to be significantly elevated, giving tall ships more room. There, the design is also brilliantly accommodating. At this rate, we might just earn a Most Thoughtful Engineering Innovation Award, if such a thing existed. Once we have established the initial design and resources, we can carry on with our plan. However, we can't just bulldoze the flat deck bridge to build our bridge extraordinaire. Some really old people may not like the idea of the improved bridge. So what we can do is build a second deck on top of the first one. You know, like a pilot-scale experimental project. If the drivers are comfortable and extraordinary, just like our bridge, they can take that route. And we know they'll love it. If they survive. After some time, nobody will use the flat deck anymore, not even the old people. Then we can completely demolish it, and that will mark the beginning of a fully operational, improved suspension bridge with no more cables hanging in the air. Now, we know your curious little brains will have questions. That is why we have come prepared. The first question could be, will the bridge be cheaper or more expensive to build? Okay, here's the thing. The improved structure would require fewer cables, so technically it could be cheaper. But since the design is so advanced, it would have extreme engineering challenges. Suspension bridges already require precise weight distribution and strong materials. Adding intentional dips and jumps would introduce new forces that no sane engineer would want to deal with. And the insane ones would charge a lot of money. Add that to the construction material, equipment, and the high insurance cost, you don't need to do the math. We already know that's a ton of money, so yes, the bridge will cost way more to build. But hey, can you really put a price on fun? Then you might ask, if you drive fast enough, can you fly from one point to another? Absolutely! The faster you go, the further you'll fly, until gravity pulls you down, hopefully onto the road, but possibly into the river below. In that case, the bridge will not be the only thing suspended, so will your driver's license. And since we are deeply concerned about your safety, we won't recommend it. Then comes the big question, is this even possible to build, or will everything collapse? The answer is yes, it is possible, in the same way that building a house out of Jenga blocks is possible. The engineers would just need to reinforce the structure significantly. The additional weight and dynamic forces from jumping vehicles may also lead to massive structural instability, but that's a problem for the future. So yes, we could build it, but should we? That's under discussion. Then comes the safety question. How do you make sure you don't fly into the water with your car? Well, as much as that sight would be a treat for sore eyes, there are ways to protect you from landing in the water. Instead of metal guardrails, we can use guardrails with airbag walls. If a car miscalculates a jump or goes off course, it would smash into a soft, cushioned wall instead of going off the bridge. We could also employ giant safety nets under the bridge. They could catch any vehicles that missed the mark. However, getting the car out of the net afterward would be an issue. Do we send a tow truck down, a helicopter rescue, a trampoline escape system? We don't know. That's on you to figure out. Trampoline-based recovery zones are the best option. Imagine landing short of your target but bouncing back up on the bridge. In theory, this could help recover lost momentum, or might just create a never-ending loop of bouncing chaos. Also, there's a slight risk that instead of bouncing back on the bridge, you could bounce even further, of course. That's totally dependent on your fate or the wind currents. Lastly, instead of installing extra equipment and wasting more money, why don't we train all the drivers to be professional stunt drivers? Passing an action movie chase scene driving test should be a must before letting anyone on the bridge. If you fail, you stick to the boring, safe, predictable roads. And here we have it. The most advanced, adrenaline-pumping, daredevil-approved suspension bridge design ever conceived. It's not straight, it's not safe, it's a wild ride of jumps, slopes, and unexpected thrills at every turn. It's not just a bridge, it's an experience. But while it is a thrilling concept, reality presents some serious obstacles, mainly physics, safety, and common sense. But don't worry, we still have hope. As technology advances and we move closer to flying cars, who knows? Maybe one day highways will look more like theme park rides. Until then, we'll have to stick to the regular old boring bridges, predictable, safe, and, tragically, jump-free. Alright folks, that was it for today's video. If you have any more unhinged questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and who knows, you might even get featured in our next video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and share. Subscribe to our channel, and we will catch you in the next one.